All right, we are in the middle of free agency, so we've had to bring you in off of vacation. I'm sorry that we flew you back from your tropical island.
Thanks for letting me borrow the jet, though.
Well, I mean, it's the least we could do.
The new Falcon's nice.
It does get around.
It must be nice being you.
It does get around.
It does. Yeah.
All right, the Minnesota Vikings. The reason that we asked for your presence is because there's a lot going on right now.
There is.
Viking fans have a lot of questions, so we want you to try to put people's mind at ease right now.
One of the things, this is an amazing offseason, and I think for a number of reasons. Number one, you give the GMs across the league an extra $30 million to play with, and they just go nutty, right? This has been an amazing free agency period with the guys just moving all over the place. The other thing that's very unique about this year is the draft, and it's unique because of the COVID year, right? So you have people like Penix Jr., who is really only 3 years younger than Sam Darnold, right? And he's in the NFL. You have 21-year-old quarterbacks. You've got 6 really good quarterbacks coming out, a lot of depth at a lot of positions, again, because of the COVID. So a lot of talent moving, and then a lot of talent going to enter the NFL, come this April when the draft comes around.
Well, and then I heard, too, that all these college quarterbacks have a lot of experience behind them. Like the bulk of the guys at the top have 20 or more starts.
Yeah, I think,
so you really have game footage to break down, to see them against strong opponents, weak opponents, in pressure situations. And I think that really will help these teams make their decisions.
And to your point, the guy with the least amount of film out there is J.J. McCarthy, and I believe he had 27 starts. Right? So exactly. You have a ton of film on all these guys who do really deep evaluations. They're obviously going to travel. They're going to sit down with these guys. They're going to get to know them. And, the landscape of the quarterback, the college quarterback, I think C.J. Stroud has really kind of changed things, right? You go from Fields to C.J. Stroud out of Ohio State. Thank you, Robert Smith. And the differences in their personality. And again, when you're a first-round draft pick, you're tall enough, you're fast enough, you've got enough arm strength, right? You have all the measurables you have. So what is it that really puts you in the driver's seat and makes you a great quarterback in this level? Some of it's tutelage, but a lot of it, I think, is just the commitment off the field. We've all seen the quarterback series, right?
Absolutely.
You listen to Kirk Cousins and those guys go through the playlist, it's like another language. So you get these young guys, 21, 22 years old, you give them a lot of money, there's a lot of pressure, and they have to just come in and within months learn how to execute an entire offense, learn an entire language. It's not an easy thing to do.
All right. It looks like the Vikings are preparing to move up in the draft with the acquisition of a second first-round pick. What does it tell you that the Vikings have made a move like this, especially this early? Because usually you see draft trades made on draft night.
Yeah.
But this is different, that the Vikings are letting everybody know, all right, we've got some weapons back here that we can unleash on you. How do you read what Kwesi has done here?
I think in a lot of ways, getting that done, it keeps landscape changes. So at that moment in time, it's a good move. So now you have 2 first-round draft picks, so it gives you a lot of flexibility. I think Kwesi said just as much. So every other team that's drafting, behind the Chicago Bears. We know the Bears are going to take quarterback. Commanders are probably going to take quarterback. New England's most likely going to take quarterback. Then we got to start sweating, right? Because you have the Arizona Cardinals. Then right after that, the Chargers. So any one of those teams could trade their way out. But if you're the Arizona Cardinals, you can sit there and say, we know the Vikings are willing to give up 2 draft picks in this draft. And if they have time, they can look at their board and think about, okay, wow, if we're going to be drafting 11 and in the early 20s, 23, we can get this guy and this guy, so they can kind of lay their plans out. And it's just sometimes you want people to know what you have, right? So that could create some conversations and create some things. And again, overall, even if it doesn't go that way, or if we're lucky enough to have someone drop to us at 11, the guy that they want, then yeah, you have the ability to pick again in a very deep draft just a few picks later.
All right. Speaking of guys that the Vikings are going to get, but they currently have a quarterback, Sam Darnold. And I got a play over here.
All right.
I want you to dissect for you, if we can ask you to come along. And just what does he bring to this team? What are the Vikings getting with Sam Darnold? I mean, why go get a quarterback like Sam Darnold?
Well, you want to have somebody. You definitely want to have somebody with experience, and Sam Darnold does have that. And again, because he's been a first-round draft pick, he has the requisite height, the requisite arm strength, the speed, right? All those things. He has a lot of tread left on his tires because he hasn't played a ton. And by the way, he's played for the Jets, the Panthers, and a little bit with the 49ers. So he hasn't necessarily been with teams that are doing very well offensively.
Correct.
So we did.
And that's a big thing, right?
Yeah.
Because people say, well, look at all these quarterbacks have been taken high in the draft, and hardly any have panned out and really have gone on to the career that you would think when you were taken that high in the draft.
Yep.
And a lot of that goes with what you're saying, is that they're surrounded by a rotten team.
Right. Well, yeah, and then this is an opportunity for Darnold too to finally say, yeah, I can do this. Right? How many of those opportunities is he going to get? He's already been through 3 teams. This is team number 4, so it's like those options start to run short. So there's a sense of urgency, I'm sure, on his end to say, yeah, it was not a mistake to draft me when I was drafted. It's an opportunity for him to settle into a team, into a town. I mean, if Darnold somehow wins the starting spot and it works that way, and he becomes the quarterback du jour here, he's going to be in pretty good shape. You see that deal Cousins signed?
Yeah, that's
right. There's
good.
a lot of money to be made out there.
Yeah.
So if he wants to do it, this would be a good place to do it. Head coach is a former quarterback in the NFL, former quarterback coach in the NFL, former coordinator, right? What a great place to be if you're a quarterback trying to make his mark and find a place to land.
All right. What do you like about Mr. Darnold?
Well, I think what you see mostly is the arm strength, and I think a couple of things that popped out on watching film is his ability. When you listen to KOC talk about the quarterback position, number 1 is accuracy.
Correct.
Right. I've seen some film. I haven't watched a ton of it, but the accuracy is there. The arm strength is there. And then the other thing that he mentioned in one of the press conferences is that the quarterback has to have the ability to find the voids and know where those voids are. And I've seen a few examples of him in the red zone knowing exactly where to go with the football. He sees 8 quarters on one, and he knows exactly where to attack that defense. So he's showing signs of being able to fit in this system. And we looked at our quarterback play from a year ago. There were a couple games where we had 400 yards of passing. It was the interceptions that killed us. And really, it's the interceptions that have hurt Darnold, or if you look at his touchdown interception ratio, a lot of interceptions.
50-50.
Right. So you got to take a bit of a deeper dive to find out what caused those. Were they misreads? Were they just nowhere to go with the football? No one running open, trying to make something happen. But overall, it's his athleticism and the tools that he has that make him most intriguing.
All right. We'll just let this one roll here. We'll give you the end zone view of this play, of what he does here and how he sets it up. And you talk about the arm strength. That is arm strength.
Yeah, it is.
Get
And
the
that
ball
one's a
downfield
DJ
like that.
Moore. And by the way, we've got a guy like Justin Jefferson. This is just basically, and I don't know necessarily the down and distance per se, but they bring extra tight ends in, and you see Denver, they have everybody's in deep. You have one-on-one coverage over here on the outside with DJ Moore.
Right.
And the other deep safety is way, way over here, right? So having seen that before the ball snap, he knows if DJ Moore can break cleanly and get some space in between them, he can hit them deep. This is like as close to 7-on-7 as you can get in a real game. If not, then you go to a check down, you go to something underneath. But the nice part is he turns his back on this defense, right?
Okay, yep.
He turns his back completely. He does not, he really can't see anything that's going on. Gives the play fake, gets his head back up, and he's looking at the crossing route and the options, the deep over, the short, but he decides to deliver that ball, and again, accurately, right over the shoulder. There was another play that he had in this game against the blitz where they just ran a little bit of a switch route and hit DJ Moore deep down the sideline. So touch on the deep ball, it's there. So there's a lot of opportunities in that respect.
Right. I mean, you look at what he does again on this play. It's 1st and 10, starting the quarter off clean. And like you said, he was completely flipped around, had no idea what was going on behind him, but had enough confidence in himself to get back here and then let her fly.
And how many times have we seen Cousins do that, right? Turns his back on defense, play fake, top of the drop, and he knows right exactly where to go with the football. So, his skill set marries pretty well, I think, with what our offense is trying to do.
All right, so you watch this offense and what they have done. Could the Vikings be fine if they had to run Darnold as the starting quarterback for a considerable amount of time this season?
I think if no matter who we draft and when we get them, once camp starts and KOC can get up to the microphone and he could say, there's a competition going on here. We're not just giving it, to the rookie, even though we traded all these picks and we did all this stuff to get, if they did indeed trade up, he's going to say there's a competition, and I don't think he would be disingenuous to say that. I think Darnold does have enough talent, and he's been around long enough that you have to give him a chance, to give him a legitimate look, because I think anyone would agree, any of the football fans would agree, the ideal situation is to have a young quarterback who's very talented and then give him a year to learn, right? Give him a year to see everything. And oh, by the way, you give this young man a year to learn, next year the Vikings are sitting on $125 million in cap space. Okay, so you're like, it starts making sense. So I don't think that it's a foregone conclusion that if we have to move up in the draft and if we get one of the top 6 that Darnold's going to be out of the picture. I think he's still going to have his opportunity once the season starts.
All right, one thing that'll help either quarterback is a running game. That's something the Vikings really didn't have last year. They went out, told Alexander Mattison, thank you, we appreciate you, but we're going in a different direction. And then Aaron Jones is cut by the Packers, and the Vikings swoop up and grab this guy. How much of a difference maker could he be for this Vikings team?
Well, overall, we're a passing team. I think what matters and where this team's been deficient over the last 2 years has been short yardage running game, and especially deep red zone, right? Alexander Mattison, our starting running back, did not have a rushing touchdown all season long, right? That's a huge imbalance, right? In the NFL, you got to have balance. You got to be able to throw the ball, run the ball, and especially in certain situations when you have the lead. I remember the Cincinnati game. We have 3rd and 1, don't get it, go 4th and 1. Don't get it. That changes the entire. Don't forget how.
If you had a guy like Jones, you wouldn't be doing quarterback sneaks.
Exactly. Well, I'm saying, do not forget how we got to 7 and 10. It was turnovers and injuries that got us to where we are. So, I think Aaron Jones comes in, and he's a very, very good short yardage running back, north and south. He does a very, very good job in the deep red zone. I think he'll be an immediate help there. What's going to be interesting to see is he's a zone counter. He runs the zone very, very well, and he's a good counter. He has very good footwork. He sells the outside and bends that thing back really well. Is our running game going to change to accommodate his skills, right? You still have Ty Chandler, who ran the counter power a lot in college, so pulling guards and tackles, pulling tight ends, kicking out, that thing, I could see us continuing to build on that. Are we going to be that big, deep, bend back zone team? Is that going to be integrated in our running game? Very, very interested to see how much schematically our running game changes to accommodate his talent set.
All right, the defensive side of the ball. The Vikings had 22 guys walk away, free agents or restricted free agents. They brought back 15, some of their own, but a lot are from the outside coming in. The defense has been a focal point, even more so than the offense to this point, with Jonathan Grenard coming in. Looks like basically a trade between the Texans and the Vikings.
Right.
Danielle Hunter for Grenard.
Yeah.
What can he bring? How much can he fill those shoes left by Danielle?
I think he has a very good chance of doing that. I mean, he's a little bit different than Danielle. Danielle was a 4-3 defensive end that learned to stand on 2 feet, whereas I think Grenard what he has is speed, right? He has tremendous speed from the outside, but he also has power. I think if you go back to 1999 and look at the arm length of these outside linebackers that have come through the combine since then, he's in like the 95th percentile. So he has these incredibly long arms, he's incredibly strong, and he's incredibly fast. And the other part of it is it wasn't like teams didn't know about him and he snuck up on everybody and all of a sudden had 12 sacks midway through the season and then offenses started to account for him and everything went away. No. You watch that film, teams constantly have a running back there to chip. They constantly have an extra guy, an extra offensive body to slow him down, and he continued at the pace that he was setting. And so he knows what it's like to be the guy. He knows what he has to do to continue to get pressure on the quarterback. So I just love his speed, his quickness, and his versatility. And I think Van Ginkel is also in there because, again, DJ Wanham, former defensive lineman.
Yep.
We dropped them in coverage every once in a while, and when they did, they kind of just took up space. Both Grenard and mainly Van Ginkel, they can cover. They can play some man-to-man, right? They get put in. We have it on film. Miami when Van Ginkel was in Miami, man-to-man on the running back. They do those things with them. So you have that versatility, and that is exactly what Flores wants. That's why he loves Alexander Madison, because I can do all kinds of different things with him. Well, you know what? Now you can do that with Grenard. You can do that with Ginkel. You have so much flexibility with these guys' talent sets. The only downside is they're not as big, right? Okay. We're losing a little bit of size, so will they be able to set the edges as well? Well, that's where you need to make sure your defensive tackles, are up to par, up to snuff, and can hold up in the run.
All right. Lastly, a player that's familiar to Gopher fans, Eden Prairie fans, Blake Cashman coming home. In New York, wasn't much because he was dealing with a lot of injuries, but when he's healthy, he has been fantastic down in Houston.
And he's another guy with a very unique skill set in he can cover, right? And you've seen film at some of the interceptions that he had. I don't know if it was against Arizona or Baltimore, but he just does a very good job, has awareness, so he can cover, right? So he can cover the pass. But what he does at the line of scrimmage is truly unique in that he can run the different line stunts, the pass rush stunts, the T and E's and the E's and T's where the end's coming underneath and he's stepping up and looping himself around, three-man line games. He can do all of that stuff. So he can integrate himself as part of the four-man rush. So you can do a 3-3-5 kind of look where you have 3 D linemen, 3 linebackers out there, and then you have 5 DBs. And you could send anywhere between 3 and 6 of those guys up front and not lose anything on your pass rush because you're sending a linebacker. So again, the flexibility, the speed, all 3 of those guys that we signed, they can all run. They all run very, very, very well. So we're going to be a little bit faster on defense, a little more versatile on defense. Hopefully have just that group, more of a killer mentality on defense, right? A headhunting kind of attitude about them. The only question I have right now is are they going to be able to hold up? How well will they hold up to the run? And we will see, but the speed makes up for quite a bit.
All right, we got the jet. It's fueled up. I've been told it's ready to go. It's ready to return you to your tropical island.
Yeah, Eden Prairie Airport's right just down the road.
I know. We got it there for you. We got a car waiting, so everything's all set for you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Pete, thank you so much. Yep. Appreciate it.
It's gonna be a fun draft. It's gonna be a fun draft, man. I think it's unique. It's a unique situation, a unique year. We need a quarterback. We have an unproven commodity. We lost Kirk, but I think everybody's kind of happy to move on, right? And say, all right, let's turn the page on that. And let's see what this franchise has. We're in a perfect situation, again, with a head coach that was a quarterback in the NFL. I trust that they'll be able to make that decision at the most important spot.
Let's hope.
Right? You look at the Bears with the Eberflus. You got a defensive-minded head coach going after a quarterback. I would trust Kevin O'Connell to make that evaluation and decision so we can kind of just sit back and relax, Jim. That's why they get paid the big bucks, and we just comment on it. We're armchair quarterbacks, man. Having fun.
But we trust in you.
Well, thank you.
We trust in your knowledge.
It's going to be great.
Thank you for sharing it.
Thank you.
All right.